first of all, I have three distinguished gentlemen here with me today, and I just introduced them briefly to you. So first of all, we have Steve Doggett. Steve is a Probation Systems Consultant with Unilink. Unilink are based in the UK, but they have offices in Europe and Australia. And they were established in 1994, and they have over 200 staff. Steve himself is, his career started as a probation officer and mental health social worker. He took up a position in the Ministry of Justice in the UK, and now he's with Unilink. Steve is involved in technology for probations, and he was involved with the development of a fully integrated case management and risk assessment sentence planning tool for London and Thames Valley Probation Service. And he is also now piloting a probation mobile app in the UK. So thanks very much, Steve. Well, the next gentleman is, and that I'm sure some of you already know, it's Oliver Drews from TELIO. Oliver has a degree in economics, and he was a banker, which is something I didn't know, Oliver, by the way, even though I know you for many years. And over the last 25 years, Oliver has been the CEO of the TELIO Group, and he grew the company from 6 people on the team to over 300 people now, serving prisons in 23 countries around the world. So Oliver sees prison as a place of second chance and wants to support the rehabilitation of inmates with technology. Very recently, last year in fact, Oliver established a foundation called Connecting Hearts to support the children of inmates. So thank you, Oliver, for being here.
Thank you.
And then we have James Levy. James is the Business Development Director at SOCRATES. Basically, under James's direction, SOCRATES continue to roll out unique tablet platforms across prisons and jails over 3 continents, collaborating with health and employment services in order to curb recidivism and bring hope into the lives of those struggling to escape the incarceration system. James has over 15 years' experience in the justice sector, and he has worked directly with government agencies around the world, helping them to transition to new technologies. So thanks again, James, for being here. So that's the 3 gentlemen. So I'm going to basically hand over to these gentlemen now to actually talk about their products and how they can help support rehabilitation. I think I might do it, if it's okay with you, gentlemen, I might do it by surname order. So we'll kick off with Steve, then we'll go to Oliver, and then we'll go to James, if that's okay with you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that that each of you talk for approximately 15 minutes. After that, then we'll throw it open to the floor and allow people to ask some questions. We're running a bit behind, so we may not have time for questions, all the questions that we would have had before. But we'll go with it, and I hope we're not delaying you guys too much. So we kick off, I think, with Steve, then go on to Oliver, and then go on to James. So about 15 minutes, if you don't mind.
Lovely. Can I just check, is the presentation?
Yeah, it is. It's up, Steve.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Great. Right. Lovely. So yes, I'm Steve Doggett. I work in business development at Unilink. My background is probation, as was described there. In terms of rehabilitation, obviously, I think that's probation synonymous with rehabilitation, so it's something that is close to my heart and background and interest, I guess, in this particular area. So as George said, Unilink have been working in this sector for over 20 years. our philosophy tends to revolve around seeing service users, offenders, as in a holistic sense, and a lot of our solutions and work in the sector is based around really that premise. Part of that is this principle, I guess, of normality and trying to treat people who come into the system as humanely as possible and with as much respect and fairness as I think is possible. So a lot of our solutions are aimed around that. We've developed various case management, custodial management solutions originally, case management solutions in probation as well. And we're now at a stage, I think, where we're pushing forward into new realms, I guess, in terms of how we present that data to staff members and service users alike, and how we can connect the system up a bit more. So I think connectedness is really important. A lot of the solutions that Unilink offer are based around how we can support that full end-to-end journey that a service user may go through, and how our systems can I guess support that step by step through the whole process. So we're firm believers in ensuring that what we develop is underpinned by evidence as well, and evaluated. So we build those things into a lot of our implementations, and kind of a lot of the research points to that it's quite simple and straightforward really when you think about it, that if you can treat people fairly in a non-biased way, with obviously respect and ethically decent values, then unsurprisingly it can lead to positive increases in rehabilitation and reductions in recidivism. So that's kind of what our overall philosophy is built upon. I think a lot of our tools as well, it's an opportunity when people are in custody to help develop skills, and we see our solutions and kiosks and tablets as a method to help broaden those things out. So the screenshot that I've just shown you there, this is our system. It's called UCase. It's currently being deployed and developed for Norway and Belgium. The application provides a full end-to-end integrated solution for all of the different actors involved in prison and probation. So right from receipt into custody to the pre-stages that often involve probation, right through to the end of someone's sentence, hopefully. The premise of the application is they're based around dashboards that provide different data views to different members of staff, and support that full end-to-end journey for the service user. So I think it would be it's useful, I think, to think of things from the service user's point of view with this, like recidivism, and obviously reducing that. It's really important that we consider things from their point of view, as they're the ones who have to walk the walk. The Unilink initially started out developing kiosks, and that's since shifted more towards in-cell devices as well. I think there's some really important bits in this particular quotes here. These were taken from a service user in HMP Northumberland. And I think like that comment about night and day, it just really sums up really how the kiosks and self-service can improve people's lives in custody. And I think that's that concept of empowerment, isn't it? And how we can help support that. And if people feel empowered and invested within custodial environment, the view is that they would then take that forward or pay it forward, or be a sense of agency when they're released. So I think that's really important. Equally, a lot of our solutions also lead to improvements from a staff point of view. They generally reduce a lot of things like pain points in prison, like applications or canteen requests. Or I think the most common callbacks normally about how much money someone's got in their canteen, which won't come as a surprise to most of us working in the sector. But yeah, so it can lead to massive savings in day-to-day questions and issues and problems. So we've been recently developing newer applications to look at how we can support reducing certain problems within prisons. One of those is this application that I'm going to show you a brief video on now called AIM. Obviously, the aim here is to reduce suicide and self-harm in custody. So this app came about through a proof of concept that prison in the UK were developing, Circle. And we did a deep dive into the evidence base around that. Following that, we fully surveyed all the literature around suicide and self-harm, and this is an approach that Unilink are taking currently, where we're trying to bake more evidence base, like the evidence base into practice and what tools and how we can utilize that. So the initial tool is based around isolation, and we use data from our CMS system to identify divergences from that. So someone's becoming more isolated. And then we've since started to look more on this concept of well-being and promoting strengths as well within custody. So we've incorporated a well-being survey into this tool and an establishment dashboard and various filtering. So, and the future aim is that we'll develop the concept a little bit more holistically and try and create that full picture. So there's a lot of different risk factors in relation to suicide and self-harm. Some stand out straight away, others less so. So it's about trying to create that fuller picture. So that's the aim that we're working towards. And we've got a brief video now that'll a few minutes that'll show you how this application works. I'm just going to press play. Hopefully the sound will come through fine.
AIM. Alert. Intervene. Monitor. AIM assists prison staff in the analysis of CMS data with the objective of identifying vulnerable prisoners who may be at risk of suicide or self-harm. The establishment dashboard shows details about the whole population and contains 3 sections, or aspects: overall, isolation, and well-being. The isolation aspect identifies prisoners who may be isolating or withdrawing from their regular routine. Through analysis of their individual established patterns across key activities, any deviations to their routine are represented on a scale from low to high. Withdrawal from multiple activities would initiate targeted intervention from a key worker to provide necessary support. The well-being aspect highlights prisoners who have responded negatively to a series of well-being questions that prisoners complete on a kiosk or in-cell device. The results of the completed surveys are grouped into levels, and if a prisoner's overall responses are below a certain threshold, they are marked as targeted, as it may indicate a need for key worker intervention. The overall aspect is a combined view of the other aspects, summarizing which prisoners are targeted on one or both aspects. Appearing as targeted on multiple aspects could indicate a significant cause for concern. You can see details of the well-being surveys that have already been scheduled, and easily schedule a single or block of well-being surveys for any prisoner. Filter data to focus on specific cohorts within the prison and instantly see the number of targeted individuals across the aspects. See change over time using the trend arrows. Switch the date to view and compare past data. AIM is completely customizable to suit each individual establishment with a host of display and calculation settings. The prisoner dashboard allows you to see the change in the isolation and well-being survey levels over time. Anniversaries can also be overlaid on the graph to assist in identifying possible causes. Here we see the prisoner's birthday and also the day they arrived in the prison. You can also compare the data year by year, to look for any periods where the prisoner may be more vulnerable, allowing preemptive intervention. The isolation aspect shows the current isolation levels for each of the key activities. Below is a historical list showing the change in daily activity levels. Trend arrows indicate any change in the overall level from the previous day. Finally, the well-being aspect presents a summary of the most recently completed survey, including the overall level plus details about upcoming or overdue surveys. Answers are grouped into levels and displayed as a graph. The responses to the most recent survey are shown in full below, and older surveys can be viewed for comparison.
Lovely. So just on that note, just about AIM itself as the app. We've developed this app. It basically, in summary, provides like a targeted list of service users who are worthy of a conversation with to help prevent suicide and self-harm. There's various factors within that. They're all taken from the evidence base and a proof of concept that was developed in and has been iterated upon in the UK. So it's very interesting, and the work in that has been developed by Unilink as part of our social purpose initiative. So it's provided freely to each establishment who use CMS. So it's a really important piece of work. That's to pop onto the last slide here. We've also been, in terms of rehabilitation, I guess, focusing on that. The step through the gate is really important, and ensuring that communication with service users is well embedded and in place is a key priority. Not always covered currently, of course. So we've developed an app with service users and a microsite to support it. That particular application, there's a very brief video I'm going to pop on now that shows it better than I could discuss it. But we've, again, the same philosophy. We're trying to bake evidence into each of our solutions. So the focus has been around desistance research and responsivity, and trying to make that journey more personalized for the service user, with a view to seeing them grow really and have self-growth and develop from there. The aim of this app, again, to communicate with the practitioner, keep up to date with appointments, managing absences, and that two-way kind of requests and access and different support for probation, which currently doesn't take place. So I guess, like, just to sum up finally, like our Unilink's philosophy around recidivism and rehabilitation is, I think, kind of summed up here: co-production with different users, We're very much leaning into evidence-based design and using research to help drive innovation, and then focusing on a lot of the pain points, which we think a lot of our solutions do address those, and with a view of creating a seamless journey for service users. And that's everything from me. I think that's about 15 minutes.
Thanks very much, Steve. That was very informative. Thank you. I'm not being too strict on the time, on the 15 minutes, because I know you gentlemen were very patient to wait for us to get you in here. So that was excellent. Thanks very much. Really good. Thanks, Dave. Now we'll go over to Oliver. Oliver, when you're ready, I'll hand the floor over to you.
Do you hear me?
Can hear you now, yeah.
Wonderful. So, sorry that I can't be with you face to face, but let's use the video. So the question is, how can technology support rehabilitation? The prison, already the question should irritate us in the year 2023, because we are talking about basic instruments for the daily life. To find an application, a request for a doctor, a shopping system. To do that via paper and not via a digital solution would waste a lot of resources we don't have. The whole world is suffering from the gap of right and enough human resources, so we have to use technology. And to have an appropriate standard technology, a digital solution in prisons for both sides, the employees of the prison and the inmates, is far away to be luxury, and it's not nice to have. It's, from my perspective, a must-have. And to provide a state-of-the-art technology for the employees of the prison is as well a value, is to value the work of the employees. And it's a help to make a good job and to make an effective job. And there will be no adequate rehabilitation when you're not mirroring in a certain way the circumstances of the free world, the reality. But the reality is that the prisons are not equipped with the needed technology. And we are talking really about fundamental instruments, and we are excluding, actually, not having the appropriate standard technology. We're excluding inmates not only from the future, even worse, we are excluding people, the employees, the guards and the officers, and the inmates from the present. So the private and the public sector has to work really close together and to create and to live a digital strategy. And we prepared a movie for you, and I hope you can see it now. So one moment. Let's start the movie.
I start?
Yeah.
Prisons are busy, unpredictable places, often with lots of time-consuming manual processes. Thankfully, there's a solution from TELIO that has really helped me to digitize those simple tasks. Now I have much more time to focus on all of the other critical things that need my attention. Not only does it mean that we save on staffing costs, we also manage to keep our inmates busy and occupied. Whether it's data for the inmate or data for the admin staff, it is now much easier to gather and share. Let me show you how this works in our prison. First of all, I can see a really clear overview of the system. I can see who is active and what services need my attention. And if an inmate has a family visit or an education appointment, for example, I can see that here. It's really simple for me to manage payments into an inmate account and pass on the shop request for processing. I no longer need to deal with all those inquiries in a manual way. Previously, those tasks were tedious and frustrating. I was spending hours and hours checking through pieces of paper, many of them which were handwritten. If I was frustrated, then so were my inmates, and we all know what issues that can cause. Now though, with the TELIO solution, things are much easier. But it's not just about information, it's also about control. I can monitor activity across the facility and lock down a device if needed. If I need to check which inmates are active and what they're doing at any one time, I can see that easily. There's a full history of activity available to me. And you know something else? Because I have more time available, I can also engage with Frank and the other inmates in much more personal and meaningful ways. I'm still his officer, of course, but he and I understand each other much better now. He greets me in the morning when I come in, and I know that his wife Mary is coming in on Tuesday for a visit. Frank can access his applications on the kiosk here in the hallway. But let's see how he can access the same platform on his personal device. Frank's digital applications have been designed to replace a range of manual processes. He can access a notice board of prison-related information or see his calendar of upcoming appointments. He is in control of his agenda and knows what is coming up for him. Frank can schedule an appointment with Mary now through his tablet. The approval will come to me along with the other requests, and Frank will see it in his calendar. It's such an easy process now for everyone. Because Frank is now taking control of his own business, he feels better in himself. He can manage his money, his meals, his appointments, and much more all by himself. When he does get out, he can hopefully integrate back into home life easier and quicker. So, in summary, the TELIO Digital Services solution has revolutionized our processes, freeing up time and valuable staff resources to focus on other things. Still though, we are in control. Frank and the other inmates like him are much happier to be able to manage some of their own businesses. It makes him feel involved, and that's fine. It makes my job easier. I can now build up a relation with and support inmates like Frank. It helps me to help him. If Frank is happy, then so is Mary. So, what could be better?
So, could you hear it? Wonderful. Okay, so now it's always great to see a happy inmate. We know it's not always the case in reality. I prepared a little presentation. So let's start with that. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you. So yes, as we said, we are working in 23 countries in Europe and the Arabic world, Africa, and Australia, and we are serving the prisons with telephony. That's where we're coming from, digital solutions, and jamming and detection. The family is the fundament of each society, and that's why it's so important that we make sure that the inmate can have the relationship, can stay with the relationship with the family. It's so important for the resocialization and the rehabilitation of each inmate. When we started as TELIO, there were many countries which not allowed making phone calls. The culture changed, so most of the countries around the world are allowing telephony. It's still the case in some parts of the world, but it's not allowed. But we see in the countries where the telephony is allowed, the communication, the secured and controlled telephony, where it's allowed, there you can really see the decrease of the recidivism rate, and that the situation of the inmate is improving. We have the phone on the hallways, so where we have limited calls in the public or common spaces, and we have, but the trend is to bring the telephone to the cell. I think we were the first in 2010 who brought a telephone to the cell. It was a project in Berlin, and when they called me, we want to have the telephone not on the hallway. We want to have it in the cell. I asked, yeah, why do you want to have it? Yes, because we want to reduce. The first goal is we want to reduce the number of illegal mobiles, because the illegal mobiles, Berlin said, the inmates are using it. Most 99% are not using the illegal mobile to plan another crime or whatever, for drugs. No, they are using it to make a phone call in the evening to the son, to the daughter, to the wife, or the husband. That's why we want cell telephony. And today I can say most of the requests for telephony in many countries are today about cell telephony. And we talked about the digital solutions, and we're coming from the telephone, and today the telephone should be part of an integrated digital solution. Phone is one part. It's about controlled internet. It's about video calls. It's about voice, email, payment systems, and other features I will talk about. And we saw, of course, due to COVID, an acceleration of video calling. But I would not say that video call is really replacing the personal visit to the prison, but the video call is increasing the number of contacts for the inmates with a free, let's call it the free world, with the friends, with a family. Why? Because still for many people, it's a tough thing to visit a prison, because a prison is not a place of total positive energy. So there are still people who are afraid to visit a prison and to visit the inmate. But the video call make it possible for the first time to see the friend or the family guy in the prison. The digitization of processes is so important. As we said, we have a lot of frustration, actually, not only on the inmate side, as well on the side of the guards, because we are in many prisons, we are not offering a state-of-the-art technical environment. And so it's so important to bring in such a digital device, which has a notice board, a meal menu messaging, a shopping system, etc. So it makes life very easy or easier, and the usage should as well challenge the spirit, the mind of the inmate, and should bring more normality for the inmate. But the usage of such digital solutions is bringing as well for the guards, for the officers, much more information about the behavior of the inmate, and to make the inmate more understandable. And of course, we have a lot of features we can use with a digital solution. And the biggest challenge here is always to moderate the expectation, because each country, partially each prison, has different goals, because basically everything is possible to integrate in the digital tool. But our goal as well is to discuss with the prisons, with the prison service, what are your goals and what are your expectations? And as you can imagine, of course, you can have the digital solution on a hallway kiosk, you can have it on a tablet, you can have it on a screen. The technology is allowing us more or less everything. So the goal for us is, of course, to help the government to make the world a better place. And as I said, or what I'm always saying, the prison is the place of second chance, and the technology is helping us here a lot. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Oliver. Very informative as always. Thank you. And now we'll hand over to James Levy. So James, I'm going to give the floor to you. So take it away.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Lisbon. And thank you, Pedro, and everyone for having me with the opportunity to talk. And thank you, George, for moderating. It was always a pleasure to work with you at the Irish Prison Service while you were there. What I'd like to start by doing is trying to share my screen and play a short video that gives you a really good, again, as Steve said, a better explanation of what we do, both in prisons and in the community, and how the system does both, follows an inmate from prison and into the community for probation, parole, and so on. So let's see if this plays okay.
I've been in corrections for 25 years, and this is new. Just because they walk through those doors that have barbed wire, they are still human. They was already judged by a panel of their peers, and that is not our place to judge. Our job is to rehabilitate.
We want to have people coming out of the correctional system who are good neighbors, feel happy and successful in their life. So we have to help them get there, and that's the rehabilitation part.
Education is really important in reentry and rehabilitation because it's foundational. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And so obviously when you learn things and you're equipped with that knowledge and skills, you can begin to take action in your life.
If we can put technology in the hands of people who are trying to navigate for the very first time in a long time, the community and the society at large, we could absolutely increase our effectiveness.
SOCRATES 360 is a platform that provides a wealth of information to people in prison, on probation, and parole. Each person is different. No one has the same needs inside a facility or after incarceration. So we found that by providing a range of different topics in the education levels, we can take people from the basic need to be able to learn to read and write all the way through a master's degree and beyond.
They get to take that tablet to their own cell and take their time to see the progression from locking them up and throwing away the key to providing educational programs and services and preparing them for reentry is what I truly enjoy and like to see.
So when we think about technology use and coming back into society, one of the things that's kind of neat with SOCRATES and Acceleron is you may have had that experience or interacted with it in a facility, and then coming out into community corrections, you're going to have a continuity of experience.
SOCRATES 360 was designed with the idea that prisoners would need the continued support, whether it's education or training, well-being, searching for jobs, preparing for their life after prison.
Because it can't just end here. They get to take that out with them and that continuation of support and prepare them. We want them prepared.
One of the prison facilities that we work with in Florida, there was a woman who went through the Reentry Roadmap program. She'd been incarcerated 3 or 4 times. That individual said that this was the first time they felt like they had a shot when they got out of prison at being able to make it.
In the past, people on probation or parole had to check in. They physically had to go to the parole office and check in with their supervisor. I find that SOCRATES 360 is very beneficial. So no longer do they have to travel across town or even greater distances. They can check in remotely directly on the app.
I believe that you will truly see a decrease in technical violations. And so many people end up back in the system for technical violations.
You might think of SOCRATES as providing for that electronic check-in, but with Acceleron and through Track Group, what you end up with is really a systematic approach to helping people move forward in their lives, and certainly for that probation or parole officer to help them structure conversations with the clientele that they're serving. Now that can all happen cohesively in one place.
We will alleviate some of the burden in the correctional rehabilitation system, but will also set people up for success and be able to keep them in the community where they really can have opportunities to thrive.
Hopefully you could hear the volume there. So yeah, first of all, anyone that wants to watch that video, you can go on the SOCRATES Software website, and it's under probation. It's available for anyone that wants to look at that again or share it with people. I'm based in Austin, Texas, but we have customers and offices in Europe, the US, Canada, and Australasia. And as the video highlights, SOCRATES is a system that truly follows an inmate through prison and into the community as a tool to re-aid and give men and women caught up in the justice system the best opportunity to succeed. We find that through the gates support is crucial if we want people to come back into the community and not end up back in prison through committing crimes. as we all know, something like 99% of inmates will come back into the community at some point, living near you or me or our family members. So it's really important that we give them the best chance to succeed when they do come back. We provide lockdown tablets for inmates, as you saw on the video, but also for staff as well for various functions. And that could be in jails or prisons, or even ICE facilities, working with federal facilities in the US particularly. So we have many functions, and anything's possible, but our focus is generally to try and provide material and functions and content that help the inmate, so that we can help them again succeed for when they come out, as well as functionality that helps staff run the prison. As you saw from the other presentations, that's really important, and something that's sometimes neglected by providers is we don't just want to provide entertainment and things to the inmates. We want to provide a system that genuinely helps the staff run the prison and be able to liaise and work with the men and women in the justice sector better in a way that's more productive of their time. So we also, as Oliver was saying, family communications are crucial. The more communications with family that we can provide, the better. We're generally agnostic in who we work with. So we work with companies like British Telecom in the UK at prisons, where our tablet goes into their communication system to provide, whether it's phone calls, messaging, video calls, things like that that are really important. Again, on the tablet, we try to be agnostic in providing access to other software services. So in one of the prisons that we work in the UK, we started working with Unilink, where the prisoner is able to hit the Unilink icon and access the CMS system and the sorts of things that you saw Stephen show you earlier. So, we do provide entertainment and games and movies and things, but that's not our priority. So our main aim that we focus on is improving how prisons run, reducing recidivism rates, and improving rehabilitation opportunities. So therefore, there's a big focus on education, providing all sorts of courses, providing training for various sectors so that inmates can access local jobs when they leave, and preparing inmates to be able to gain meaningful employment. So, not just basic employment. We've got all that time while they're inside, and we try to use that wisely to be able to train them for, as I say, meaningful employment, a job that they can look forward to upon release. So another focus of ours is healthcare, and that's a whole range of things, including providing therapeutic courses and focusing on things like digital and clinical interventions. So that could be victim awareness courses. It could be domestic abuse, focusing on trying to make sure that if someone's got a problem with domestic abuse, that these interventions can help that while they're inside. Again, things like alcohol awareness, anger management, gang culture, knife crime. And it's really important as well for us, as you saw on the video, to provide access to those courses when they come back into the community on their own smartphone. So where they've had a course that's been useful while they've been in prison, they can then pull their phone out at any point and access those courses again. That's really important. And we call the app on their phone a digital backpack, where they can access the SOCRATES app on their own smartphone and get access to all sorts of local resources, all sorts of services and support, often remote services as well. So that could include video calls with probation officer staff or mentors or other people involved in their probation journey or parole journey once they're released. We provide SOCRATES in multiple languages, and it's important to point out that security is at the heart of everything that we do. As nice and easy as the system is to use for staff and for the users, inmates, probationers, and so on, security is at the heart of everything that we do. So something else that's really important that we find in prisons is that our tablets are designed to work online, as you'd expect, but also offline in hybrid mode. So again, that means that a prison doesn't have to spend hundreds of thousands or millions of euros on putting a Wi-Fi network in, they can just start with one Wi-Fi access point or a few more if they can afford it. And the tablets can be deployed and updated, download and upload information and so on when they're in those areas where there's hotspots. And then you can grow the access points, the hotspot areas, Wi-Fi connected areas across the prison over time. So it can be a gradual process. We do find that the more connectivity there is in a prison, the more useful it is, not just for the prisoners, but also for the staff. So it's the same for the SOCRATES app in the community, where users in the community might not have access to data plans. They might have limited data or run out of data. They might not have Wi-Fi in their home. They might live in a rural area where there's no connectivity. So being able to access as much as we can, including the courses and things like that, without having any connection in the community, is a really important function on the system. So, yeah, again, just like to finish off really by saying that change isn't always easy to make happen or to accept as a member of staff in the justice sector. But change is happening. Even here in Texas, where I am at the moment, Texas has a reputation for being a very hard justice system and generally behind on technology compared to other states and other countries around the world. But even here in Texas, there's now 130,000 tablets in the hands of inmates across the state, where Texas Department of Criminal Justice has realized it makes sense. Let's give every inmate a tablet. And going to the prisons here in Texas, you hear the feedback from the inmates, from the family, from the staff, that it really, really helps the prison. It helps keep a calmness, it helps stop violence, it gives people the ability to either continue learning outside of the classroom or, to play a game or something to calm themselves down or to not be getting themselves into trouble. So, and obviously the family communication is the thing that people talk about most, is having that ability to receive a message, send a message, have a call or a video call with a member of their family or friends, is absolutely key in what we're all doing, what we're all talking about here today. And George, I'm happy to wrap up there. I could go waffling on if you like, but maybe we get some questions while we've got time. That's great. Thanks very much indeed, James, for that. Really interesting stuff. And thank you to Steve and Oliver as well. I think we have time for some questions. I suppose, first of all, I don't know if I actually said who I was because we were rushed at the beginning. I'm George Jackson. I'm the former Chief Information Officer with the Irish Prison Service. I know some of you know me, but for those who don't. So, yeah, I mean, I think we'll throw it over to the floor for questions, but maybe I'll ask a question first just to get it going. One of the questions, I've often been asked by staff in the prisons is, technology is great, but, is it going to mean really that I won't see the inmates that I'm in charge of? That I'm not going to have any interaction with them anymore. I'm not going to be able to say good morning to them when they wake up, etc. So maybe I'll throw that to you, three gentlemen, and be interested in your views on that. Thank you. I'm happy to start with George.
Yeah, James,
Oliver,
go ahead. Yeah, whoever wants to start.
I just I mean, really, it helps the staff tremendously, as you saw from Oliver's video that particularly pointed out. It takes away a lot of the actions and things that staff don't necessarily like to do or have to do, and it puts control back in the hands of the inmate. So that means that the prisoner is able to organize their life better, and that where the Irish Prison Service, for example, do this great. We were talking the other day, weren't we, George? They have a lot of people on the wing that are able to put their arm around the prisoner or sit at the end of their bed and spend their time to really help inmates and prisoners with personal things quite often. But Ireland's able to do that because you have a high number of staff compared to prisoners. Other countries aren't so lucky to have that staff to prisoner ratio, whereas bringing in digital technology, like what we've been talking about, allows those staff members that are often busy, rushed off their feet, the ability to sit back, see what's going on, take a bigger view of life in prison, really, and be able to provide more supportive services. As I say, even if that's just putting their arm around them and being able to support them through hard times or pointing them in the right direction of courses that they can access on the tablets, those sorts of things that just they don't have time for normally. Oliver?
Thanks, James. Oliver, we can't hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful. So first of all, I really think that it's a wrong approach. So the reality is that we have a lot of frustration on the side of the employees of the prisons, and we have frustration on the inmate side, because they are all living together often, not always, but often, in a, let's call it, outdated technical environment. We have with the introduction of technology, we have a culture change. And we have a new allocation of time, let's call it. And the technology is enabling the guards and the officers to spend more qualified time with the inmate, I would say. And moreover, the technology is bringing cost savings. And with the needed cost savings, we can invest, for example, much more in psychologists, which are talking to the inmates, of course. And we all know that we are challenging a lot of mental health problems on the inmate side. So I see it in a total different way.
Thank you, Oliver. Steve?
Yep. Do you want me to jump in? Yeah. So yeah, I think this is represents kind of where Unilink are at the moment as well, in terms of we're pivoting more towards supporting staff and providing dashboards and information and data that pulls a lot of the strands together and to help, I guess, streamline some of those aspects in prison. But you can see the difference that if you empower someone and you give them the ability to take a bit of control over their journey in custody, it's not a wasted journey. They've learned some valuable skills that they can, like James was saying, take forward into probation and forward from there. Even just the ability to access resources, I think, and have that support there and be able to do it digitally. I do think we'll see a really big trend towards that going forward. And I'm pleased that's gonna happen, because it's kind of in line with a lot of the research in this area. So I think the one thing about COVID was it has kind of gone at a bit of a response and opened up the use of some of this technology. So yeah, I think it really is a positive step. So yeah.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Chapman. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, technology is there to support, help, assist. It's not there to replace people and never will replace people. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you guys more. I have a question from Lars. Thank you.
Hello. Thanks for this interesting presentation. It's not really a question. It's more something I have to add on. As a correction officer, whenever it comes to this question, we always have to think and bear in mind that we, the correction officers, we are experts. And our daily challenge is that we're not losing the contact to the inmate. So some of you already knew that we have a contact officer system in the country where I work, in Bremen. So this system does not even allow to lose the contact to the inmate, because we do, and Pedro, now I come back to this point, the human factor, because we do the reports in the end for early release or his social behavior. So, and even the inmate knew he has to interact with us, otherwise there will be no report about him. So this is our daily challenge. We are very close to the beat, and it's also the fact that it's an essential part of dynamic security. If we lose the contact to the inmate, and of course, we all knew, let's say in the worst case, you have a lazy officer, of course you can lay back and, well, yeah, now I have the technical issues, the devices, they will just do my job. But this is not what we're doing. We are highly motivated, and it's our job in our daily routine not to lose the contact to the inmate. So I'm not afraid of technical devices for the future, because I know I'm good enough, and so are my officers. So that's the way we should see it. Thank you.
I think we all
Thank
can
you, Lars.
support what we're saying, Lars.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Oliver. Yeah.
Yeah, I said I think we all can James and Steve, we all can support what we are saying, Lars. And technology should only enable you and the inmate to make things better and to make life easier for both sides of the bars, let's say. So that's the goal of technology.
Thank you, Oliver.
Absolutely. And it can even mean that a mentor that's on the outside of the prison is able to stay in contact with the prisoner while they're in prison and build up that relationship that they can then build on when they're released. So, you know, it helps the experts, as Lars said, be able to communicate better, more often and more thoroughly as well with the inmate, whether they're in the prison, on the wing, in the office in the prison, or even outside of the prison.
Thanks, James. Steve, do you want to add anything? Or
I was just going to say, I agree. I think it keeps the finger on the pulse, doesn't it? You can keep abreast of everything and pulling. I guess part of the AIM application we've designed is about, I guess, trying to use some of that data to analyze and create that holistic picture, and I think it's so important. So yeah, I massively support that as well, and I think the sooner we can integrate systems more and start using this data to great effect, the better, because there's so much potential that I think we all feel is wasted in these contexts. So yeah.
Thanks very much, Steve. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, lady.
My name is Claudia, and I work for the Portuguese Probation and Prison System. And I would like to have your thoughts about the questions that even though all this technologization is necessary, at which point that we are not going to a point of hyper-incarceration instead of tackling social disparities of a priori of the prison itself. And for instance, in the United States, namely concerning ethnic and black disparities and with mass incarceration. The other question that I would like to do is about how do you manage these issues with the foreigner population? Because in Portugal it's not that simple, and it's quite unfeasible to do this outreach with the family outdoors. Can you enlighten me, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, whoever wants to take it, feel free.
I had some breaks on my side, so I could not hear it very well. So maybe James and Stephen.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, Claudia. Absolutely. Mental health and other issues are, as we know, a major problem within prisons around the world. There needs to be a lot more mental health services and facilities in the community to stop people from coming into the prison in the first place. However, that's obviously not the case at the moment. So, you know, we do our best to work with the prisons and the service providers to provide mental health courses, digital interventions, and, you know, again, they can be in any number of languages. The system literally supports any language for these interventions, which is important because in some facilities, particularly here in the US, the ICE facilities, one of them, we did a survey and there was about 70 different languages being spoken in one facility. So these mental health courses have to be in all of those languages, otherwise people are going to fall through the gaps. It's also really important that the facilities that do best that we work with, prisons and jails, they get the family involved as well at a certain stage in their journey, where the family are able to come into the prison and actually support them during some of these courses, rehabilitation courses, re-entry courses, life skills courses, and having their family coming in every now and then or joining by video call just gives extra motivation for the prisoner to continue with those courses and make the most of it, so that they can come out more healthy, and better to deal with life in the community with the support of their family. So yeah, languages, family support, having the right courses available and the right staff trained to provide the support for those courses is massively important. On that, it's getting harder to get the right qualified staff to come into prisons. So again, we're having to look at ways of using technology to support that better as well.
Yeah, well, I'll just jump in there. So yeah, and I think the final part of the question was around family ties, wasn't it, and how the technology, I guess, can best support that. And I think in terms of when someone's in custody, there are various systems, communication-based systems that can help support some of that. So there's video visits, which can be used by family members with people in prison, and obviously like professionals as well can tap into those. There's email facilities now. We have EMAP, which is Email a Prisoner, which helps support like building those ties. And I think that the research says that a lot of like family relationships are like vitally important. And so yeah, I think there's technology to help support that, but I guess it's that managing that aspect through the gate, and how I guess we can kind of encourage that and support it best. It is, I think probation services are different, and some probation services have shifted away from that more family approach. There seems less home visits than I think there used to be, and I think like that's where the technology can come in, because you can start building up, like James was saying before, in our app similar, you can do check-in appointments from different locations, so that includes the home, so you can I guess see a bit more about the home environment and who's there, and have those discussions. So yeah, I think it is really important.
Listen, thanks very much, gentlemen. We lost you there for a little bit, but thanks very much for all your patience and for
you're on mute, George.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You hear me? Yes. No.
George, you're on mute.
We don't hear you.
You don't hear me.
Just mute yourself.
yeah. Thank you.
There you are.
You hear me now? Yes, I'm
Yes.
back. Very good. Yeah. So listen, thanks very much, gentlemen. Thanks for your patience at the beginning. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to the audience for all their questions, and thanks again. And enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, thank you. And we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thanks, George. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.